Hello, my name is Tim Erickson, and I'm here with Simplo by Triplo to talk to you a little bit about engaging with the Backdrop community. So whether you're working with a backdrop site on Simplo.site, or you're built your own site elsewhere, if you want to get questions answered or contribute back to the community, it's not always easy to figure out exactly where to get started or where to go. So let me give you just a quick run through of what your various options are. This presentation or this little video is based a lot on a blog post that I wrote earlier this year that is found on the backdropcms.org website in the blog, A Beginner's Guide to Engaging with the Backdrop CMS Community. So let's start with backdropcms.org itself. This is sort of the flagship site that educates and promotes Backdrop the product. However, there are some, and I'm not going to go through everything that's available on this site. However, I would like to mention the most important things for engaging with the community. And the most important thing on backdropcms.org may be this resources page, because unfortunately there's just a lot of different resources which are hard to remember and keep track of. And if you don't remember where it is you need to get to, you can always come here and find a whole bunch of links and useful resources, for example, like the list of all the repositories and issue queues, which we'll talk about in a little bit. I use this page all the time when I get lost in the Backdrop community, and unfortunately that's fairly easy to do. The other thing on backdropcms.org would be this last tab, the news, which has things like our blog, which has some useful up-to-date articles. There's a couple of things written by me. And then it also has events, any events coming up. And for example, right now, upcoming office hours, or like our next Backdrop Live. Backdrop Live is a big online virtual event that we hold every 4 months. We've done 4 of them so far. We'll be doing our 5th on March 11th and 12th. And this is a great chance. These are free. We do ask for a donation, but that's purely voluntary. We'd rather that you show up than not come because of financial reasons. So please, if you're interested in Backdrop and you want to connect with the community in a face-to-face way, albeit virtual, Backdrop Live is something to get on your schedule. If you're watching this video after that, hopefully there's another one coming up. The last thing over in this channel was mentions, and this is just a whole long stream of different places on the internet where Backdrop is being talked about. And you can see what various people are saying and talking about Backdrop here, including in other languages, like we've got some Greek and German articles. So possibly the easiest to access, or the easiest to sort of dive in terms of engaging with the community, is the backdropcms.org forum, which is found at forum.backdropcms.org. There is a link here in the support column on backdropcms.org that will take you to the forum. Once on the forum, we have a number of different categories, although the main one that people use is how to and troubleshooting. And people tend to post issues here. It's not a super active community, but it's active enough that I think most questions get answered, or at least get an answer within 24 hours, sometimes within an hour or two. Occasionally, more difficult answers might take a while to get answered. We can see just about everything here has had some activity. I recommend the forum as a place, is one of our primary education places. And I really encourage folks to ask questions here to help answer other people's questions and to use the forum. We have other places where you can ask questions, but none of them are as good as the forum in terms of archiving the information and being a resource for people that have the same problem in the future. I frequently come here and ask questions and then answer them myself, partly just so that I know where to come and find the answer again 6 or 12 months from now when I have the same question again. And this happens to me fairly frequently, that I'm Googling a problem in Backdrop CMS and I get taken to the forum, and oftentimes I find out, oh, I asked a similar or the same question a year and a half ago, and the answers are right here for me. And I'm trying to build up this database for myself and for the community, and I recommend that other people do that as well. The next place to engage with Backdrop would be on Zulip, our chat channel. Okay, and you can get here by typing backdrop at zulip.zulipchat.com. Zulip is a chat, like some of you might be familiar with, Slack or Mattermost or some of the other popular chat tools used by businesses. And we have a lot of activity here in Zulip. It's a place where you can find people live most times of the day. We have a global community, so almost any time of the day you might find somebody active here in Zulip. And people do also ask questions and get answers here. My own recommendation is to ask the question in the forum, then come to Zulip and post a note with a link to your question, drawing people's attention to it so that people can go and answer it in the forum where the answer will be recorded. Anyways, but this is a great place to just sort of connect with people, to ask questions, certainly if there's any kind of events, or if you have really basic questions, just like, you forgot where to find a new contrib module, this might be a good place to go and ask people. I spend a lot of time in Zulip chatting with my colleagues in the Backdrop community around the world. The next place I'm going to talk about, which is a very important place, but it's also not the most accessible place, is GitHub. Certainly if you want to contribute code and participate in Backdrop in that way, you're going to need to get active in our GitHub community. If you're a beginner that's just using Backdrop and you've never used GitHub before, it can be a little bit intimidating because it seems like a place for developers, but it doesn't need to be. You certainly should feel welcome, and we would encourage you to set up a GitHub account and to participate. The primary thing, one of the problems with our GitHub community is that it's distributed into a whole number of projects and repositories, which we just need for organizational purposes, which do make it difficult to remember and find things. When I first got involved in the Backdrop community, I would frequently forget which issue forms to use for which questions. That would take me back to this page on backdropcms.org, where if I went to resources, I could scroll down here to GitHub, and there's a whole list of repositories and issue queues. And this gives quick links to all the different, or many of the different repositories and issue queues we have on GitHub, and quick ways to get there. Getting back to GitHub, I'm going to look primarily at 3 different areas of GitHub. We have a group called just Backdrop. The Backdrop group has the actual code repository for Backdrop CMS. This is where, other than downloading Backdrop on backdropcms.org, you can come to GitHub here and get the latest dev version of Backdrop, sort of the cutting edge wherever the latest patches have been applied. In the Backdrop group is a separate repository called Backdrop Issues. For reasons that aren't important, we separate the issues from the actual code, and we have a special repository for this. And if you want to report a bug or request a feature in Backdrop CMS, this is the best place to go. It's not the only place to go. You can go to the forum, or you can go to Zulip as well. But coming to GitHub would be the most direct way. And if you have an account, you can open an issue and request a new feature in backdrop.org, or you can look for an existing issue to see if it's been reported already, and or if there's a fix for it available waiting in the wings. Sometimes bugs are fixed in Backdrop but haven't been tested and or merged into the latest release. And if you need that fix right away, you might be able to find it here. If you're at all interested in contributing to Backdrop, there's a lot of issues here which just need testing, and you should feel free to jump in here and help test an issue or provide feedback on a new issue. Things like field group functionality in core. There's a whole discussion about whether or not that belongs in core, what it should look like, and how we should do it. And we need developers with coding skills to participate in this conversation, but we also need end users that can just say, here's why I need that feature, here's what I need it to do. That's super valuable, and it's something that anybody in this community can offer, and we welcome them into our issue queue. So again, this was github.com/backdrop. We have another group at github.com called Backdrop-Contrib. This is where you're going to find all of the Contrib projects. All of the modules and themes and layouts have their own project here. I can click on View All Repositories, and there we go. We're going to see all the different repositories. I believe there are well over 800 different Contrib projects. It looks like we have 29 different pages, of about 30. I don't know if it's 30 or 50 pages or projects per page. These are all different available Contrib projects. Every one of these Contrib projects, if you click on them, you can either get the code or you can go into an issue queue. So if you have questions about a specific Contrib project, this is where you want to go. You want to go to GitHub, find the issue queue for that project, and you can post questions here, or you can report bugs, or submit pull requests and help fix bugs. Again, very important place. The last group we have on Backdrop or on GitHub is the Backdrop-Ops group. And again, we have a bunch of repositories here. Backdrop Pantheon, Backdrop, or the forum. And so this is where we actually store the code for the forum site, or we have an event site. And that's where this is the events.backdropcms.org is where we store the code for that. Each one of these projects also has an issue queue. So if you find a bug with forums.backdropcms.org, you can come here, go to the issue queue, and you can report the problem. The forum site is a great place to just provide feedback on how to make the forum better, to ask questions, or to make suggestions on how to make the forums better. Anyone can participate here, and all voices are welcome. There is another group in Backdrop Ops called Backdrop Community. And I believe I'm going to need to click on this View All Repositories to find it. But if I scroll down here, there it is, Backdrop Community. And this is a place, there's no code for Backdrop Community. It's just an issue queue. And the issue queue is like, how do we promote and build our community? Things like funding Backdrop, revitalize our presence on LinkedIn, find a better way for beginners to discuss and learn about Contrib projects, send regular newsletters. These are all the kinds of things that we need marketers and PR people to help us build our community. And this is an issue queue where you don't have to write code to contribute. You can come here, look at the various things we're talking about, offer your opinion, and or offer to help us out. So another great place to engage with the community. Anyways, this has been a very quick and superficial sort of introduction to the Backdrop community. My main goal here was to show you just all the different places that we have to connect. And also, I think, if I don't do anything else, to remind you where to find to help you navigate this. And again, this is going to be your friend, the support menu on backdropcms.org.resources. Pretty much everything we've looked at, you can find a link to on this page or through this page. So please do engage with us, and happy backdropping.